everybody, and welcome to Cap at Home. My name is Miss Allie, and today we're going to be making Zentangle line landscapes. And what we're going to need for this project is a pencil, an eraser, some markers, colored pencils, or crayons, a piece of paper, and a black marker, colored pencil, or crayon. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is take your paper, and make sure you have your pencil ready. And we need to decide on a landscape that we're going to draw. So your landscape can be anything around you, or it could be something that you imagine. It could be something with mountains, trees like a forest. It could be an ocean scene, a sunset, an area with hills, lots of flowers, anything like that. Today I'm going to be drawing some mountains. I might even add a tree in there. And it's okay to choose more than one of those objects. And so we want to make sure that we're going to draw something that looks like a landscape. Again, it can be something that you see in your backyard or something that where you wish you might want to be. So we're going to take our pencil and we're going to start drawing our landscape. And the first thing that we need to do is draw a horizon line. And a horizon line is where the ground and the sky meet. And it's usually about the center of the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil and draw in about the center, my horizon line. It doesn't have to be a perfect straight line because there are no straight lines in nature. Now the next thing we need to do is start drawing our landscape features. So again, like I said, I'm going to draw a mountain, some mountains and some hills. You can draw whatever you'd like. So I'm going to start with a big mountain over here. Really tall one, and I might draw two on this side, and then I might add some hills down here. Let's say I want some more hill area. And see how I'm dividing up the space into more smaller spaces, and that's going to be important when we start doing our Zentangle. And I want to make lots of different areas, lots of different spaces. And I'm drawing my beginning in pencil so that way I can erase the lines later if I mess up. I actually might add a sun here, be like a sort of a sunrise. And just for fun, let's add a tree over here. So now I have a tree, some mountains, and a sun. So that's going to be a really interesting landscape. And again, just to clarify, a landscape is an area or space outside. So it's depicting an area that is outside. It's natural land, so it doesn't have people in it. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So this is my basic outline. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take my black colored pencil, marker, crayon, whatever you have on, and we want to outline these lines. And so I do this in pencil first, because that way, if I say, like, I want this tree in front, that way I can make sure that I have my marker start with the foreground, so the images or things in the front first. So I'm going to go ahead and take my marker, and I'm going to outline some of these things. And again, I'm going to start with the object that I know is in the foreground, or the thing that is in the front of the image. And I'm going to go ahead and add my horizon line. Start drawing in some of my mountains. And that's okay if you're not tracing it exactly. That's why we drew it in pencil first, so we can erase things. And see how I stopped and started my line here because I know this mountain or hill is in front. There's kind of be my sun. And then I'm going to start adding in some of my hills or ground wavy area down here. I know it kind of looks weird now, but it'll look really cool when we start adding in some of those designs. Alright, so this is my basic area. I might even add a cloud up here for fun. Alright, so this is my area, this is my landscape, and I think it looks good. So, now we need to start our Zentangle. And a Zentangle drawing, or a pattern, is a multiple designs or patterns of lines, shapes, dots, circles, things like that. And so there's lots of ways to do this. I actually printed out some examples of line patterns as well. There's tons of them, different types of patterns. You can look some up yourself if you'd like. It might also be a good idea to practice drawing your design or Zentangle lines first. So sometimes I like to have a scrap piece of paper and practice my lines first. So that could be anything from multiple circles, like so, zigzag lines, repeating, like that. It can also be as simple as diagonal lines. It could be a checkerboard pattern. You could also just do some dots. Dots like that. And there are plenty. You could do some squiggle or swirly lines. Anything pattern or alternate. You could even alternate patterns. So let's say you did a line, some dots, a line, some dots, like that. These are all possible patterns or things called Zentangle. So Zentangle coming from the word Zen, usually meaning calming. So a pattern that repeats itself is usually pretty calming when you do it. So that's why we are filling all of these spaces. Now, if you take a look at some of my examples over here, my examples, every area, every space that I have drawn out is not only a different pattern or design, but it's also a different color, and I think that way it makes it pop. You do not have to do them in different colors. You can choose to do with one color, or you can even do your designs in one marker and then color in behind it another color with colored pencils, say. But again, I'm going to do my designs and patterns with different colors. So I'm going to using my reference images and my sketches that I've already done. I'm going to keep these out so I can look back to them. And using any of the colors that I have picked out, I'm going to start my area. So you can choose colors that reference the thing that you're drawing. So for a tree, for the bark and the tree, I might do brown, but I don't have to. You could also make your tree pink if you like. It's totally up to you. So I am actually going to grab a brown, and I'm going to make my tree branch some interesting colors. So let's say I'm going to start off with some zigzag. And I'm not going to do fill all of this in. I'm just going to give you a sense of some different patterns and colors, because this could take a while, and that's okay. It's supposed to be kind of fun and relaxing to fill in as much or as little as you want. So that's how I might start my tree. And then let's say I'm going to add my tree in some leaves, and I'm going to use this nice bright green because I think this is kind of fun. And I'm going to do some sort of swirls. And I'm going to keep repeating them. And I'm going to try and fill in the whole space. And the more you fill in with this type of thing, the better it looks. And I know it might seem kind of chaotic to think about all these different shapes and colors, but the more you fill it in, it honestly looks more interesting. Alright, so let's say this is the beginning of my tree. And again, I'm not going to do it all right now, so that way I have some time to show you some different patterns and colors, and I'll finish it later when you're doing yours, and we can post them in the comments of this video later on. So the next thing I want to do is let's add some more color. So let's say I have this area, and this area is maybe my hill area. Maybe this nice chunk of space is actually water, because it's in between like my mountains and hills. So I'm going to actually take my blue marker and add sort of this wave pattern. And again, now it's all about repetition. that's really what pattern is repeating the same line or shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. And again, like I said, you can do this in multiple colors, or if you just have one color, that's fine as well. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be whatever shape, design, pattern that you want. And you can add more than one color in the space as well. So let's say I did this in a light blue. Maybe I wanted to add some dark blue in there. You can do that too. Okay, so that's the start of my water. That's going to go to this whole area. So let's say I drew this part as sort of like the sun. And so I want to make that sort of look like my sun. So I'm going to take a yellow marker and I'm going to do, let's see, what would be a cool pattern? Maybe I'm going to do some alternating rings and some lines in between those rings. So again, this is a pattern where I'm alternating two patterns. So I have these two lines that kind of look like rings. And again, I'm trying to fill the whole space . Okay, so let's say I have this area, then, now that I have one pattern in between, I might add some big circles. Again, because more of the area that you fill in, the better it will look. So I'm adding some dots or circles in between these lines. All right, so I have my sun. Now, I might go back down and add some of my hill area, my grass area, whatever you would like to call it. In my one example, I have some lines and zigzags, and I have some swirls. There's all different types of patterns that you can use, and they're all kind of fun, too. So, let's say I'm going to start with this, like, smaller top area over here, and I'm going to choose this greenish kind of color. And let's say I'm going to choose these sort of circular hump shape. And this I can repeat. And again, this might take you some time to fill in all of your spaces, but that's okay. This is sort of a relaxing, remember Zen as in Zentangle. This is supposed to be relaxing to fill, take your time, fill all of these spaces and shapes in. Alright, so that might be one of my areas. Another option is to just do some basic and simple lines. Any sort of line pattern will do. And so I'm going to take this sort of peachy color, and I think this would be a fun mountain color. And I'm actually just going to do some basic, well, let's see. I could do some basic lines, but let's make this a little more interesting. Maybe I'll do some of these fun line box shapes. So it could be any type of shape that you want, any type of pattern, shape, line, and they don't all have to look the same. And even if it's one that I haven't showed you today, that I'm sure is still great. So this is kind of a funky shape, but it's a pattern since I'm doing it over again. Alright, and I can keep going and fill that whole space up. Again, some other designs, we have some lines over here, some polka dots, some different size dots, swirls, we have sort of like this checkerboard pattern, this alternating pattern where it's lines, dots, lines, anything from cross hatching, any of these are possible designs. I also like to fill in my sky area. So even after I've done like my mountains and trees and things, I even want to fill in my sky area. So again, I'm going to spend some time after this video filling this in, and I will post my finished product in the comments of your video after you make yours. So again, spend some time, really make this interesting. And so when you're everything is completely filled in, it looks like these two, then you're going to take your eraser and you're going to erase some of those pencil lines. And that's why it's better to draw lightly so you don't see. It's not as hard to erase, and then you don't see all of your sketch lines, your pencil lines. So remember to draw lightly. And so I could erase the rest of these. And again, you only start erasing when you're completely done. I'm just doing this for the sake of time. So, I can erase all my pencil lines. And you would be done. At this point, it would look like this. It would be completely filled in. Every space, every shape is full with a different pattern and design. So that is it. And then you would be done with your Zentangle line. So again, you can even look up some Zentangle lines, line patterns, different examples of lines, if you need some more inspiration. But it can be anything simple, just dots, shapes, lines, alternating lines, things like that. So once you get to this point, once you're done, you want to make sure that all of your markers or crayons or colored pencils, whatever you use, everything has a cap on it and it is put back where you got it. It should be back. Your space should look exactly how it looked when we started, nice, clean, and neat. And then you will be all set and you'll be ready to show off your Zentangle line landscape. So like I said, I'm going to finish mine, post it in the videos of this comment. When you finish yours, I'd love to see what you made, your different type of landscape. And thank you for watching our Cap at Home video. Stay tuned at 2 o'clock for our next video. Thanks, guys.